Well, I can tell you that it is raining here in sympathy in Sydney for the UK as we learn of the death of our monarch. Now, we started hearing about this in the early hours of the morning, but really Australia is only just waking up and coming to terms with the loss of their head of state and of a woman who has led the world for 7 decades. There has never been anything like the force of Her Majesty the Queen in our lifetimes, and we are unlikely to see anything like it again. She was a stabilising force and a force of peace and hope. In some respects, she transcended the realm and became a queen for the whole world as she led and helped other world leaders to understand the special relationship between the people and the state. So Australia will very much miss Her Majesty. We loved Her Majesty down here. Every time she visited, the streets would fill with joy and people would rush to meet her, and it is just a terribly sad day.
Really fascinated to know, actually, when a lot of people talk about the Commonwealth, and I think people all too often, including actually unfortunately Prince Harry once or twice, have misunderstood the difference between empire and Commonwealth, OK, and what that really means. And for a lot of people, especially in this woke era, they seem to see it, I think, as some kind of far-reaching power, having a lot of undue influence over people, frankly, who are geographically a long way away from them. And a lot of people now can't seem to be able to get their heads around that people all that way away in Australia might actually want to have that historic link with the royal family. Can you explain why there is such a sense of love and, love, really, I suppose is the word, towards our Queen and, indeed, towards the royal family?
Well, there are a couple of reasons for that. The first is the Queen herself. Her behaviour throughout the course of her life has been one of servitude, and while she served every day of her reign for 70 years, we have politicians and prime ministers who struggle to make it 3 years. So she is that sense of permanence in our democratic system, and people find comfort in her always being there while our leaders change. But with the Commonwealth, you are quite right. We are all different peoples in the Commonwealth, but we are one people underneath the Queen and the monarchy, and that gives us a sense that it's like having a family abroad where we all belong in some way to each other, and has brought a great sense of peace. The nations of the Commonwealth are not at war with each other and have never been at war with each other. But on top of that, Australians understand that it's not just about the Queen and their love of the Queen. The monarchy represents a safety net against our politicians. And we understand the special system of the constitutional monarchy, where it is the safest political system in the world. And we are currently in a fight to hang on to our security.
Talk to me through that. You're coming all the way from Sydney, by the way. We massively appreciate you taking that time for us. But talk to me about why it's so important for you to have this constitutional monarchy. You alluded to it there about it being a safety net. Just expand on that a little bit for our viewers and our listeners, please.
Of course. So the role of the Queen is not to rule, it is to ensure that the people maintain protection against the ambition of politicians should they step outside their boundaries. And so the Queen can never really rule in the sense that we think of traditional monarchs as ruling. She hands power back to the people, and Australia is one of the few places that has actually tested this system in the world. We had Gough Whitlam dismissed by our Governor-General when he got out of control, and so that shows that it may only happen once a century, but it's that once a century safety net that keeps our constitutional monarchies safer than republics and more stable. And Australia's system is actually one of the oldest in the world, and we have been enjoying the benefits of our constitutional monarchy for many, many years. And as I said, even though the Queen has sadly passed, we will maintain our system of government and our security.